Welcome to another Sunday morning conversation. Today, my guest is Tyson Wieland. He is American pro triathlete as well as a coach. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. I'm sure you'll enjoy.
Hey, man.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. Sorry about the delay.
How was this weekend?
I had a really fun time. I would have loved to have had a good result off of it, but I was pretty happy with where I was at until I don't know, I think I sent my body into shock, which, you're testing the limits, I guess, in racing. So,
Chattanooga's a fun town. Did you enjoy yourself?
oh yeah. The food was really good. In college I went and I ran down in Texas, so I got a taste of the South before coming back to Iowa. So it's always fun to go down south again, where I can get some good sweet tea and some good cooking down there. So I enjoyed it.
It's a lot different than Texas.
What's that?
Chattanooga's a lot different than Texas.
It is, but I tell you what, the sweet tea was way better than what they do in Iowa. So I at least that was good. And then I mean the catfish was really good, and yeah, it's also beautiful in Chattanooga. I think I underestimated how beautiful it was going to be out there, that the terrain, and yeah, it was a great time.
Oh, I've got some really great pictures because I've raced there. Let's see, 6 different times with four different races. Because I
Yeah.
raced the half, the full, Chattanooga waterfront, and the river swim rat race, which is 4.5 mile river swim.
Oh, but that was fun. It's that was my first river swim actually. I'm usually in the ocean or in some lake, so that was fun to be able to
He's super fast, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Like I got done and I was looking at my splits and I was like, oh, that was like a 105 per 100 yards. Like, okay, it didn't feel like it at all. So yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. Well, you know what? There's some years where the current is so fast. I'll tell you what. The first year that they held the full, right, 2014, they pulled
Mhm.
a dead body out of the river, and they said the current was flowing so fast before the race that the dead body could have beat the cutoff.
Oh, that's funny. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah.
Yeah. So hey, man, I saw you were a runner at was it A&M?
Yeah, West Texas A&M.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite the normal one you're thinking out of College Station, but it's in that they have like I think 5 or 6 A&Ms.
Where's West
Or
Texas at? Because it sounds like anything I know about West Texas is like boring. There's like nothing to do. Were you in a
perfect.
dry county too?
You nailed it. So it's in the Panhandle, so it's up in that corner next to like Oklahoma, Colorado, and everything. Basically middle of nowhere, which is really good for training. I went there to run, and so yeah, we only really could run and spend time with each other, I guess. But there was yeah, it's near Amarillo, and like Texas Tech is not too far from us as well. So
It wasn't a
um,
dry county, was it?
I'm not 100% sure. I don't think it was, but I don't drink, so I don't know.
I was gonna say if you don't have that to do, then I'm sober now too. I'm actually
Yeah.
I drink Beck's non-alcoholic because as much as that they pitched that athletic brewing with Iron Man, it tastes like shit. And not everybody likes IPAs.
I did take a sip of it, and it's not great. Yeah, I only tried once, but I'm not a fan of it either. So
I mean, like the Beck's Pilsner, like it tastes like an actual beer. Like that's what I after I'm out running, for a long run, that's kind of what I want.
yeah.
So well, that's good. I mean, more power to you. I saw you ran earlier this year you ran pretty fast, like 107 down in Houston. What is it, the Chevron?
Yep. I ran 107, which it was like I probably spent 2-3 years trying to get a new PR. I had run 108 before that, 108 like 36, about 2-3 years ago, and so it was like I should be in the 107s or 106s, and so it was a great day. I was happy with that. Um, I've got a really good group of people around me that are way faster than me, so it's fast, but I'm still one of the slowest guys out of my group, so it's kind of fun.
And they're all out in Iowa with you?
Yep. They're primarily runners, and so that's kind of one of the neat things I get to do as a professional triathlete is like, I have to get really good at running, and so I'm going and I'm keying off of these guys that are, they could in their own right be almost professional runners, and so just training with them elevates my level. So
What made you want to transition from running to triathlon?
So I've kind of bounced back and forth over the years. I was actually a swimmer in high school and then got really burnt out of it come my senior year. And then I ended up running in college. I went to a community college because I was like, okay, I'm not great at running yet, but I could probably get better in the next few years and try and get somewhere. And so um, did that and then got out of college, had a pretty good running career down in Texas. But then I decided to go back into triathlon, which I did before as a junior. And then, yeah, it was kind of up and down over the last few years, honestly. I've had some really good run races. It's so easy to go and find a run race and go fast there. As a professional triathlete, man, it's slim pickings sometimes. Like either I'm going over to the West Coast, East Coast, down to Florida. Sometimes I have to go up to Canada to get a good race. And eventually I'd like to be able to go internationally, but it's like just traveling to all these races, it adds up. And so when I can go and set a PR in a run race, just, in the Midwest, it's appealing. And so I sometimes will gradually go towards like that kind of stuff. But I think I told myself this year that I'm back all in on triathlon. I had a really good, setting a PR. Well, that was while training for triathlon. I think I was stubborn about training focus on running, and decided to eventually switch back to just, this is how I get fit. I get fit by training as triathlete. So, yeah, that's the long and short of it. As I still, for the last few years, I was going up and down, but I think my focus is now on triathlon. I'll still run fast. That's going to be part of it. So,
Let's back that up for a second.
yeah.
You swam in high. I also got burnt out in high school from swimming, but you went from not running in high school to just showing up at the community college like I want to run with no experience, and then
So not quite. So it was my senior year is when I got into running a little bit more, and so like I did run cross country when I was in high school, but just to give like some perspective, like my first 5K and as a freshman was 36 minutes, and so like I was not a runner by any means. But my dad did 5Ks to like lose weight. He had, it was kind of inspiring in that manner, and so um, just would go to like a local 5K with him and jog with him, and he'd beat me for so many years. And then my senior year, well, my junior year, after my junior year, I started picking up triathlon. And when I picked up triathlon, I actually got way better at running. And so that's where I was like, oh, I can actually run in college. But I wasn't good enough to be like a D1, D2 runner. And I was like, okay, well, I'll just do community college to start it out. And so that's how we got there. I wasn't just jumping straight to community college and being really good at running. I had 1 year as a senior that I ran well.
okay. I was kind of trying to fill in the gaps there. I'm like, how did that
Yeah,
happen?
yeah. No, it was more of an outlet at that point because I guess I would say even my junior years when I was burnt out on swimming, I just went really, really hard my sophomore year, and I got like an ear infection the week of districts, and then I was ranked number one in Iowa for like the 50 freestyle, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna win myself a state title. And then I got to state, hadn't swam for like 2 weeks because I basically couldn't get in the water. And then I think I finished like sixth or seventh, and it was just like, oh crap, like I really thought I was going to be able to at least win, maybe second, maybe third, but I didn't even get on the podium. So, and I put a lot of time and effort into that. And so, yeah, my senior year, I was just like, oh, I think I'm going to try a little bit more on the running side, yeah, so that's how we got there.
I mean, not how many years were you at community college running?
Two. Yep, I ran for Iowa Central for 2 years.
Okay. I mean, you must have shown a lot of improvement to get from that, well, from there
Yeah,
to like a 10 to a 108 and a half marathon. That's a lot. I mean, that's pretty fast.
yeah. So it was mostly come again in my sophomore year. First year at community college, I actually didn't improve a whole lot. But then I started getting used to the mileage and everything like that. I think for most college runners, there is a transition period. Some people just go to college and they're just like fast right away. But for a majority of people, they go there, they either get really tired or they're adjusting to college life. And then it's like, okay, I'm not great this year, but then sophomore, junior, senior year is when you see those improvements. And so I got good enough my sophomore year to at least get some offers, and so yeah.
What are your run splits been like for in your 70.3s?
So they've been up and down. I would say I haven't quite ran up to my potential, but I've ran in like a 115, 116. I do think that I'm closer to that 111, range, given that I have a 107 for the open. I think it's not unreasonable, but um, yeah, I gotta get better at biking so that I can handle that at the end. I run just fine. It's just, yeah, not exactly where I want it to be. I think I was on pace to run about that at Chattanooga, and then the wheels just I think the wheels fell off. I just collapsed on the ground. So
It was a
yeah.
hot day.
Yeah, I honestly, so I don't even know if it was a hydration or something like that. I got to talking to some of my colleagues and friends, and um, I think I sent my body into shock by being too efficient at getting ice. So I was dumping 2 cups of ice at every single aid station down my suit. And actually, I think I
Probably
just
get a
had
good
my,
warm.
yeah, I think I just, my core was getting too cold while everything else was too hot. And then like, because I was running just fine and I felt great. Like I was giving my dad thumbs up. I was like, man, I'm crushing. I'm going to be doing it really well the next set lap. And then, yeah, I just like, I, I was running and then I was kind of getting some cramps in my side, and then all of a sudden I was on the ground and I was like, oh, like I just woke up and I was like, well, that's not good. And so they were like, yeah, we don't advise you to keep going. Um, some medical came and got me. So um, whatever it was, whether it was my limits or whether it was the ice or whatever, I think I'll be okay the next time around. Yeah, I'm not
When
going
is
to
the
dwell on
next
that too
time?
much. Des Moines Ironman. So that'll be 3 weeks from now. And so it'll be my first Ironman. I'm pretty excited about it. I've always tended to do better as I get longer, and so um, plus it's in Des Moines, my hometown. There's not many opportunities that I'll get to do an Ironman in my backyard where I can sleep well, hydrate well, not have to worry about logistics or traveling. So um, I wasn't gonna do an Ironman probably for the next few years, but since it's here, I'll give it a crack. And yeah.
Have you ridden the course yet, or run any of it, or what's it like?
Yeah, the bike I've ridden it one time, and it's kind of rolling, honestly, similar terrain. Maybe not as pretty to Chattanooga, but the similar amount of elevation per mile. And then the run course is Pancake. It's a 3-lap course around an area that I do workouts at all the time, and so it's very familiar territory. And then again, the same thing with the swim. It's just in an area that I go all the time there, and so it's down in Grays Lake, and yeah, I'm pretty excited. It should be. I think it'll be a fast course. You might see some pretty good times by the top guys, especially like I think now I just looked at the start list recently, and like you've got like Cameron Worf is going to be there, and Matt Hansen, and I mean it's not a really big field yet. I think we have 19 men, 19 women, but there's a few big hitters. Just yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what Worf is going to do since he's been doing so much cycling, but we'll see. So
Yeah, I mean,
is the course a lot of cornfields?
no, that's what you would think it would be. And I'd say it's more riding through some like small towns. That'd be a better way to describe it. You're going through some rolling terrain. You'll probably see some corn. Yeah, it'll be out there. You can't escape it. But yeah, I'd say you're most of the time you're spending on some old country roads and going through small towns. So
The road quality good, or I mean, is it bad?
really good. So I know the race director pretty well, and I'm giving him like we wrote it and we gave him, like, hey, you need to patch this spot, or this could be fixed up or stuff like that. And honestly, I'd say that a majority of it's great. I mean, you're not on blacktop, but you're definitely not on like a crack filled roads or
Is it,
potholes or anything like
is
that.
it chip and seal? Like that rough with bad rolling resistance?
Um, no, it's more. It kind of mixes actually. I don't take that back. It goes through a few different. It rolls pretty well though. Especially there's basically right at the start you've got brand new pavement. They actually the road from, I think it was actually part of the deal with Ironman when we first, because they held the 70.3 here last year. In order to make the loop, they kind of put their bid in there, like, yeah, we'll make this brand new road from here to here. So it's really appealing. And it's one of the, you'll go so fast on that road. So
Okay. How long of a stretch is that road?
it's about 15 miles. So
Oh, it's a long stretch.
yeah, and then you go, basically you get to the end of that and you go down a big hill, and it's again, that hill is also brand new, so you don't have to worry about hitting any potholes on the downhill. And then after that's where it gets a little bit rough, is at the bottom of that hill. You hit an old country road that is probably about like 8 miles, and then you're good for a bit. So
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I noticed they went up from a 70.3 to a full this year. What is that? What's the run loop like? Is it also rolling?
just a pancake. It's basically, you go around the lake, you go on these trails. I think you do 2 out and backs, and then you go into the city, do an out and back, and probably the only elevation gain you're going to get is when you go up to the city. And I say up, it's maybe 20-30 feet of gain. Is really minimal on each loop. So I don't know exactly what Ironman claims that the elevation is, but I wouldn't say it's probably more than like 200.
Hey, give me a second. I hear my cat chewing on the plastic of an Amazon package. I'm gonna get it out.
Oh, you don't have to tell me twice. I have 2 cats, and luckily they're passed out right now, but in the mornings it's just everything. So
Cats are nice when you're a triathlete, and I like to race a lot, right?
yeah.
I mean, I'm not a pro, but when you're an age grouper, you travel a lot and do stuff. If it's a 2-day trip, I can just leave them. I can feed them, leave them alone. When it's a 3-day trip, I get a pet sitter,
Yeah.
and they're not like a dog where the pet sitter's got to show up and walk them like 4 times a day. Which it's like in Atlanta, pet sitter $20, that's $80.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I because I travel a lot too. I actually got one of those automatic feeders and stuff like that too. So like, I can even tell, like, oh yeah, my cat's still good. It's still eating, so it's
Well,
alive.
it's not the food part that's the issue. It's when they fill the litter box up with shit.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
I got one for you.
frying it off with a scooper.
Yeah.
So, but they're definitely, they're like very friendly for, pet friendly for being a triathlete. It's a lot easier to maintain.
I absolutely agree. Plus, I'm more of a cat person anyway, so
I used to have dogs with my ex, but she got the dogs and I got the cats because they were mine in the relationship. I don't mind. They're all right. So,
yeah.
so man, what's on tap for the rest of your season other than Des Moines?
I'm still kind of working on that. I'll actually end up doing a few run races in July. That's kind of where I'm gonna maybe not take a step back from try, but I'll just focus on running, and then come August, I might do Boulder 70.3. Santa Cruz is another one that I've done. Actually, fun fact, I've never done the same 70.3 yet. So I'm pretty relatively new, and so my first repeat would be Santa Cruz if I was to do it this fall. And I really like that one. I did it back in 2018 or 2019. And so that would probably be another potential one. And then I actually kind of want to get into the challenge series. I've never done one of those as well. And so I know they've got, I think it's Challenge Miami in December.
Oh, that's Clash because they split
Clash.
off.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Anyway, Clash. Yeah.
Daytona's the one in December.
Daytona. Yep. So that's one I'm potentially looking at. I do actually do pretty well in those winter months because I still have my fitness from the fall. And so yeah, I might do Clash then. So
I've done Miami. It's obviously the age group race is different than the pros because the pros do laps around the track.
yeah.
So, and Daytona is a 2.5-mile super speedway. So you're doing, and it's kind of like a weird oval in a way.
Yeah.
But the neat thing is you can weave, a half marathon in 2-3 loops possibly out of the infield.
Yeah.
Really spectator friendly. The neat thing about Clash is, like, you can't stand anywhere in the confines to scratch your nuts without having 3 cameras on you. There's like 45 cameras all positioned throughout the place.
Yeah, and honestly, like that's a pro's like wet dream to be able, especially a mid-pack pro. Like I don't get a lot of camera time, mostly because I mean there's the action's happening up front, but there is still stuff that's happening back with us. It's just obviously not as exciting to people. So especially with with those clash races. Like I watch that and I'm like, I mean, heck, I'd like to claim I'm also a really good transition. Like I can do transitions really well. And so like, man, going for that T2 prize money, like or something like that, like I could be in the running.
Wait, they have prize money for how fast you go in transition?
Yeah, so they actually gave out $1,000 preem at the latest Clash one for T1 and for T2. So if you go back and watch it, like Ben Canute just like sprinted it through a transition, and then as soon as he got across the timing mat, he slowed down and then settled into a real run pace. It's kind of fun to watch. I think it was also like
I didn't know that.
yeah, so yeah, I think it's something new they did this last one, so I think they'll continue it. Which, I mean, obviously I'd like to just do well in general, but yeah, if I can go make a quick $1,000 just for being good at getting my helmet off and my shoes on, like, yeah.
I'd wear tennis shoes just to get the one, right?
Yeah.
It's just like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to win the race. I'm not going to win prize money. But if I have the fastest transition, I can come home with a piece. I'd wear
Oh,
tennis
yeah.
shoes just to do it.
Yeah. 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 I think they may, I mean, don't quote me on this, but I think they also for the age group maybe gave out some like just like probably product as prizes. I don't think they gave out cash to age groupers, but I
They
think maybe
gave
like,
out the little trophies were helmets.
yep, that's pretty cool too.
But I've heard from a lot of mid pack and back of pack pros about the Clash series because they tend to like it a lot because Bill Christie and them, they treat you kind of like people,
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. I mean, and like I said, rightfully so. The top guys, like, I mean, they're the show. We're in all honesty, we're entertainers as pros athletes. Like, and so like if we're not as exciting as the top guys, like it's hard to promote us. But hey, maybe someday I will be a top guy, and it's like I would love to, have my story be seen when I'm a mid pack, and then as I'm getting closer to the front pack, and then hey, maybe I'm on a podium now and stuff like that. So that's why Clash seems appealing. So.
Yeah, and I mean they get treated very well
Yep.
according to those guys, and it's just a lot of fun. They actually put you up in hotels and stuff, whereas like compared to everything else, you're paying for it.
Oh yeah. Yep. There's a handful of those races right now. I want to say St. Anthony's is another one they do really well. I haven't done that, but I've heard from multiple pros that's another one where they put you up in hotels no matter what level you are, and yeah, you're pretty well. LA Tri as well is another one where they do that, and they also do like the media for you, where it's like every pro gets a photo before the race. They get like, and that's something. It's a special treatment, which is nice.
That's how Rev 3 used to be because that's probably way
Mhm.
beyond where you were in the sport.
Yeah, I mean, I know that actually because so TJ Tollickson, he's another resident pro. Well, he's retired now, but anyway, we train together in the mornings. We swim together, and so I get to pick his brain about what he used to do and what was good back in the day. And I mean, there was another like 10 Olympic distance series that also was like really big time. They would pay out great
Ivy.
money.
It was Ivy.
Hy-Vee did really well too. I think there was another one even behind that one. I can't remember. I'm drawing a blank, but there was another series too that like it lasted for a few years, but it was a ton of money, and then it just died out. But
Well, the problem with Rev 3 is they gave out a massive amount of prize money, but like they were the prodigy of this one guy, or the product is this one guy, right? And he
yep,
used his dad's money as seed money. The problem was when it ran out, they didn't have any other plan. It's like, oh, what are we supposed to do?
yep, yeah. No, I know that for sure. That's it's funny because a lot of these races are passion plays. Like you got like the Island House Tri, or like even professional triathlon organization right now. Like it still is like primarily one group's money that's coming in, and so like you rely heavily on someone still being interested and someone still being passionate about it, and then your Rev 3, if it runs out, it runs out. Like hopefully it doesn't happen with the pro PTO, but yeah, it's just a matter of sustainability. But it is great when they do it. I mean, if a race is only able to last 3 years, but it's got great prize money, great atmosphere, like it's good to have it, I guess, even if it does disappear on you.
Do you ride one of TJ's bikes?
I don't. I may at some point again. So I used to ride for him back, would have been maybe 2017. and this is still when they were a little bit younger of a company. And so I was riding on a large and I could not fit on it. And, I was really grateful. They set me up really well. But I was just like, hey man, like, is there any way you can get me down on a medium? And like, there was just like, he did not have the production at the time. And so I actually ended up on a Ventum. And so I've been riding a Ventum since then. And I think that, since we're training again together, basically the pandemic um, kind of shut off our hours for when we could train together. And then I had a job that was just like, I could not get to the pool in the morning to swim with him. So our relationship kind of faltered. And so that's probably why I wasn't on a diamond for a while there. And then now that the past, since October, I've been training with him again. So
I've
maybe,
always
maybe
wanted one of those bikes. I just think they look so awesome.
they are, and they're really fast as well. They don't, not only do they look good, they ride good. And I mean, the same could be said for my Ventum as well. It's fast looking too, but yeah, I'm not sponsored by Ventum, so I could say both are fast. um, yeah.
So I think I heard this from TJ when I talked to him like at the beginning of the pandemic. But how often have you been drug tested? Because I know people in Boulder get it like a ton, but people out in Iowa, they actually have to be out there and then they'll test you. So I don't know if you've ever got tested or like very seldom.
Once I've been tested one time. Yeah, and it wasn't even after a great performance. So yeah, it's not very frequent out here, I don't think. And yeah, I assume the Boulder people are getting tested all the time, hopefully.
So tell me more about your coaching.
So this was actually I've always kind of been one to give out advice, and I swam coach for a while there. And someone was like, hey man, like, why don't you just like coach more people, fun, like structured coaching? And I was like, I don't know, like, is anyone gonna really want that? And so um I tested the waters with one athlete that was coming back from, she had a stress fracture in her foot and she was trying to train for a marathon. And she was like, oh, I'm going to try and get into triathlon training and see if that helps me. And so um, started out with her. I was able to throw Wieland Racing as a label on top of this. And so this is, again, just like my advice with a label. And then at the same time, I actually, I was on a junior elite team where I was coaching Z3 triathlon. And I just really couldn't have time for coaching there either. And also I was one of their athletes. So when I parted away from them, I also came underneath of my Wieland Racing. And so I made it a whole thing. Started coaching triathletes and runners. And eventually I started to bring on my other coaches just because like, I honestly, it wasn't that I needed more time to myself. It was more so just to give people opportunities, because that was something I was like, well, it's kind of hard to start being a coach. I don't think people realize it's like you have to have some sort of credibility in order, or at least knowledge, to even get out there in the coaching scene. So one of my coaches is my best friend from college. He wanted to coach. He's very bashful, and so it was more of an outlet for him to get connected with runners, because he had a wealth of knowledge, and it was like, hey man, like, you'd be a really good coach. You just need to talk to people. And so I was that guy that was able to connect athletes to him.
It's
And
really
yeah,
hard to build a client base.
it is, and actually it was, I started this back in 2019 is when I started the Wieland Racing. And I was building clients left and right. And then the pandemic hit, and then I had at my peak, I was upwards of like 20 athletes or something like that. And I was just on my own. And then the pandemic hit, and everyone was like, well, like, I don't have any races to train for, and the ones that were lifetime athletes, because there's really kind of two categories. It's like athletes, they're going to be with you for the long haul. They want to develop as an athlete. And then people are like, I have an event, just get me to the event and that'll be good. And the ones that were long haul, they stayed with me. And I still coach them to this day. And then I lost a few athletes just because they were like, yeah, I don't have Boston anymore, so I have no reason to have a coach, which, to each his own. But yeah.
Nice. So I guess so. You're split between triathlon and run coaching with the side of swim coaching. I mean, how like do you what I found is down in Atlanta, I used to coach masters, right? And like people have asked me to coach them in swimming. People get pissed off if you use their pool without paying them their cut. Does that happen to you?
So I actually don't coach swimming anymore. That was actually before I used to coach swimming. But yeah, swimming is the hardest one, because it's like, hey, like you can't be in here if you're not like paying us money to coach or stuff like that. And so like I actually gravitate towards just triathlon and just running. I will give swim workouts, and what I'll tend to do is if I am coaching swimming, I'll just get in the water next to them, have a workout, and then I'll watch them swim from within the pool so I don't get in trouble for like being on the deck and coaching without paying. I have done that. Usually it's for like more or less just private lessons. It's like I have 1 or 2 sessions. I need to just look at my technique. Kind of, I'll record them on my GoPro underneath the water and on top of the water just to see what everything looks like. And but yeah, I steer clear of full-time swim coaching just because it's just harder to get those hours.
Well, so last question I'm going to get you out on. What are your goals for this season, and what are your goals long term?
So for the season, my ultimate A race is Des Moines, just because it's the longest one. It's my longest endeavor, and so that's going to be my A race for the season. I think that if I put together a great day, and this 70.3 this last weekend, and then Oceanside, we're both stepping blocks to it. I think I could be a top 10, maybe potentially at Des Moines, which is kind of a bold statement just because I haven't really been there. I've been top 15 at a lot of these races in the past, and so it's like I'm knocking on that door. So the short-term goal is just really to compete really well at Des Moines, possibly a top 10. And then, as I stated way back at the beginning, this is kind of my first year going back all in on triathlon. And so I think my long-term goal is the next few years to build a sponsor base, get into that top 100 rank, and then we'll just see what goes from there.
Is Des Moines a North American Pro Championship?
It is. Yep. So
you have a big field.
It's not a crazy big field yet, but there's a good prize purse for it. So 10th place is walking away with $1,500, and so that's a good little marker. But yeah, it's got 19 men, 19 women. It's actually kind of uncommon for the women's field to be equal to the men, so that's good for them. I'm not sure why all the men aren't signed up, but notoriously, men will find their way onto the star list somehow. Even though it's closed, you'll get those last minute ads in. And usually those are the fast guys too. So it should be fun. I'm pretty excited about it.
Sweet, man. All right, man. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I got to go back and look at some of your YouTube videos, see what you're all about. So that was fun. I'm always interested in people's content. So
yeah, well, mine is not. I'm not pigeonholed to be just a triathlon guy, because the purpose of I started it was for brain injury awareness,
Yep.
So, and I just kind of did. I mean, I kind of do brain injury and triathlon because that's how I identify myself as a person. Those are when people look at me, I'm a TBI survivor and I'm a triathlete. So
that's great stuff, man.
Yep. All right, man. Take it easy. Enjoy the evening.
Thanks. You as well.